Are you doing this, Andrea? Thank you. 0719 0034.
Okay, so this one is Works to Trees, Mr Barnett of 6 The Willows, Brent Knoll Parish Somerset. It's a weeping willow with a TPO on it, and it needs to be re-pollarded back to the previous pollard points. And then the second one is another willow, which is TPO 10, and that's to be re-pollarded, new growth back to main trunk. Janet Burton is the case officer. This has obviously been approved before because it's been previously pollarded, and again for good arboreal practice, a willow will actually go wild. So I didn't see that there was anything too contentious. That's where the trees are on the property. So there's one in the corner and there's one down there. Willow trees are listed because of the nature of the species, and I wouldn't like to think that we were to lose 2 trees because they became rotten and disease-ridden. So,
is it your suggestion that we accept it on the
I'd like
grounds
to
of
suggest that
arboreal practice, good arboreal
Yeah.
practice?
yeah,
And the reason is because of fear of the tree going out of kilter.
yeah.
Okay, that's the proposal. Seconder for that, Brian. All those in favour? That one's carried. Thank you. 0719 0032.
Okay. So 32 and 33. Okay, so this is a listed building, so you have to have one planning application for the general planning application process, and the second one is for the listed building planning application process. So it's retrospective, so you've got to consider this as if it hadn't actually happened. So the application is for the demolition of a store building, and I'll show you some pictures, and the formation of an ensuite shower room on the first floor. I don't know why this has come about. It might be, I did ask if the house has been put up for sale, or whether they're actually trying to go and get permission for something else. However, they've obviously been found to have done work on the house without planning permission. They've had a court design and conservation inspection done with a report, and it does clearly say on here that the work was carried out without consent to a Grade 2 building at 113 the Brent Street. So what we're planning, or what they're planning, this is the before and after. So can you see the outbuildings?
Mm-hmm.
So what we need to consider, are we happy in a listed building for that old outbuilding to be demolished? And they do have pictures of it, and it does show it in disrepair. There it is. It's of a wooden structure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what they have done, but what we've got to consider: are we happy that in a listed building that something like that is okay to have been taken down?
It's a bit of a right, isn't it?
Yes.
There's this bit here.
What stage of repair is it in?
It's gone.
It's gone.
But it wasn't in a good state of repair before it went.
This is retrospective, so it's all happened.
Yeah.
But you have to treat it as if they are asking permission to do it. Now, it becomes a bit contentious if we turn around and say, actually it's in the curtilage of a listed building, and really you are only the custodian of a listed building, and that you shouldn't take anything down, anything at all, without actually having some kind of advice. Yeah. However, in defence of that, Sedgemoor hasn't had a listed planning officer in situ for a very long time. They've just had one put in post, what would you say, 6 months ago? Yeah, Mark, his name is. We have a listed building, so we were in limbo for a very long time because we couldn't go forward and we couldn't go back. And we had rotten windows and we didn't know what to do. But we were fortunate that we could hang on until somebody went into post. And literally, that poor man's got into his seat and I'm on it and I'm here. And so this could really be ignorance from the owner of the property, thinking, well, it's only a wooden structure, it's old, it's dilapidated, let's take it down before it falls down. Or there wasn't anybody to actually ask, or you didn't think it was important enough. You know, you had a shed in your garden, you would take it down.
Andrea, was it done by the present owners of the property, or was it done...
Oh, no, I don't know that, because I don't know how long they've lived there. And it doesn't say when this actually happened.
Yeah.
And I can't say it was something that I...
Just wondering whether they themselves have been caught by something that happened some time ago. I mean,
well,
I know
again,
the second guessing, but...
We've got the same, that the previous owner of my house stripped a lot of the
Fireplaces
yeah.
and the other stuff, yeah.
and then you're left with what's,
Yes.
you know, and then what can they do? Do they try and chase that person and ask them to go and put it back in again? You know, that times have changed, you know, the hands of the owners of the properties have actually changed. So it is quite difficult, but I suppose rules are rules, you know, it's a listed building and the curtilage is listed, it's everything.
The present owners have been there a long time.
Long time. So they might have taken it down, you know.
No.
We took stables down, but we got in hot water for it. And they were completely rotten, they'd already been shored up, you know.
Yeah, once we took one bit out, they collapsed
fell
by
all
themselves. And that
So
was-
what do? Do you keep something dangerous, or do you...
I mean, going back to this one, it's been done. It's hasn't probably detracted from the property at all.
Not at all.
So my view would be, say, well, we accept it, and as it is, and the building will obviously now be protected going forward, I assume, so nothing else can happen.
No.
So we'll just rubber stamp what's happened, and the building will be set as it is.
The other thing they've done is that they've put a bathroom on the first floor. So they've changed the use. And what they say there to justify that, which I can understand again, it's a 6-bedroom property with 1 bathroom. So I presume that they've changed a room's use to accommodate that. And you know, at the end of the day, you know, having a separate bathroom, 2 bathrooms in the house is not unreasonable for a house of that size. But again, it's listed and you've just got to be really careful.
Is it listed both internal and external?
Grade 2 is
Yeah.
the privilege, everything.
Everything. Your fences, your hedges, the land, everything.
And then grade 1 is buildings of natural
Yeah.
interest, and they then
Probably
document
Lake Georgian, looking at it.
Yeah.
Lake Georgian, yeah.
What's your recommendation then, Andrew?
Well, it's. I believe that it is an enhancement to the property, that a dangerous structure has been removed, albeit unfortunately without the right permission. But I can understand why you did that. It's not as if they pulled down part of the house or they destroyed the ambience of the house. So yeah, I think that we either go no observation or maybe consider a support, because it will improve the property and it's no longer dangerous, you know, that outbuilding.
I think we should support it.
Support it.
Yeah, we've got no observation. It sounds like we
A
could.
bit wishy-washy, isn't it, really? Yeah. Whereas,
On the grounds of
Support it.
architectural improvements
And safety.
safety, yes.
and safety.
The appearance.
Yeah, because that was only going to get worse, wasn't it? You weren't going to be able
Well, it
to...
would have done.
sort that out. I
Well,
mean,
that's the proposal. Is there a seconder for that? John, all those in favour? That's unanimously carried. Thank you. Can you get Bob back in, please?
No, we haven't finished yet.
Oh, I've got the wrong. I'm sorry.
Don't worry.
Got the laurels.
I'm sorry. Beg your pardon.
Before
We got the mark yet.
Right, okay, so now the laurels, if you cast your mind back just before Christmas, this came before us, as it's a piece of land which is in Wick Lane, and what they want to do is separate the land and convert a workshop and a garage and a store into a dwelling,
Yeah.
and it's under this self-build, you know, so it's live in it for 3 years and then you can move on. I don't know what happened, but the last application was actually withdrawn. Although it was registered, withdrawn after registration. So whether somebody said you're not going to be able to do this, or somebody said you need to tweak it, I don't know. So I'll read out what they said originally and then I'll read out what they're saying now, because I really don't know what the difference is, and I'll read you out the list of what they want to do. So it's a non-material amendment, remember, and it was a change of use of part of the paddock to garden and widening the existing vehicle access to allow for alterations to the approved windows, doors, porch, roof and boundary fence. So now we've got change of use, conversion of extension of garage, workshop and store into dwelling, change of use of part of paddock to garden and widening of existing vehicle access revised application. Okay, so then looking at the changes, so I'll read these out. So this is a resubmission. So omit kitchen and dining bay window from southwest elevation, including tile roof over entrance door. Centralised entrance door below bedroom 3, window and add tiled porch roof supported by timber posts. Reposition bedroom 2 dormer window so that it aligns with ground floor living room window, southwest elevation. Change southeast boundary fence from 1.2 height stock proof fence to 1.8. Close boarded timber fence to entire length of boundary to entrance of the gate position. Omit first floor landing window and replace with Velux roof light northeast elevation. Raise ground floor stairwell window by 300 mils to clear staircase, northeast elevation. 2 soil and vent pipes positioned externally, northeast elevation, and omit stainless steel stovepipe and install 2 NR, 2 number balanced flue outlets in southeast elevation. So, what does all that mean? So there was a document and I did compare it, and it is just aligning things and putting them in places that once the structure had been looked at formally, that it needed, you wouldn't have a window there and a door there and a bit of a window there. They want it to be asymmetric and uniform, yeah. And they are only material changes, and I think this is just dotting the I's and crossing the T's. But there must have been something in there that was contentious because it was withdrawn.
Didn't we consider this?
Yeah.
We
last autumn we had it.
Yeah.
And we passed it, didn't
And then it was withdrawn.
Because the architect came here, if you remember right, he
Right.
came for a preliminary
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
discussion with us, and then
Yes.
a few weeks later, a few months later, we had the application.
That's right. That's right. So, the planning permission has been in place for a long time. So, they obviously, there must be something in there that they weren't happy about, or was it that the structural design, went to the engineer and that they turned around and said there was too much weight on a window, or you don't know, but there must have been something in there that didn't add up. But again, by reading that out, omitting the bay window and lining it up with the door, I can see where we're coming from. And again, it is a house that they want to build on their own land, and this is something that we're going to see more and more of.
Wasn't the original planning application with a joint shared drive?
Yeah,
And what they're doing now is moving the boundaries so they can actually subdivide it, sell the property they live in now as a complete property with its own access onto Wick Lane, and then create a new access and a boundary fence between.
yeah. But that's still the same.
And that's potentially why they might not have been able to have, because the extension and widening and access to Wick Lane is part of this proposal.
And the
As the
fence
changes.
is higher, isn't it? It's gone from 1.2 to 1.8. So again, you know, would it be privacy that they are going to sell the original house now and they don't?
Well, the 1.2 was a stock fence, and you're now
I know.
talking about solid panels,
Yeah.
6 feet high.
Yeah. But again, I did go on to the history. This is previous planning commission. Yeah, I'll send this around. There's the withdrawn and there's the current, and I just don't see anything of any difference. So there was nothing else for me to find out. I didn't know what else to do, to be honest. But they've applied for a seal payment, so that, you know, they definitely mean business. And it is proposed for one house and one house only, because again this was completed. There was a flood risk analysis that was written by Paul Martin Associates, and they said that although it's in a flood zone 3, it was at no more risk than any other houses in this village, as we all are. And also the highways, which again I thought was interesting, it was standard advice only, so the highways have not flagged up any issues about going out on the road, you know, with what they're proposing with a 6-foot fence, which would clearly block the visual display. I don't know.
It sounds as if we support this application on the grounds of, if you like, property improvements or environmental improvements and further suitable
Accommodation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
extra accommodation, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the sense of having
That would that be your overall assessment, having looked at everything? It certainly seems that way.
It does, you know, it doesn't seem, you know, contentious, and you can understand what they're doing and why they're doing it, and I don't see that there is anything there that we would object to, because it all seems pretty straightforward.
Okay. Well, that's a proposal that we support it on the grounds of, if you like, architectural improvements and
extra, well, it's extra housing, isn't it, really?
yeah, provision of additional accommodation in the village. That's a proposal. Seconded? John, all those in favour? That's great, well done, thank you. Okay. Yeah, so we're in. Yeah. Right, you're on then.
You're standing outside?
Well, there's no heat out there, right? That's all right. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
A couple of things just to mention, if I can. We've been talking about sort of emergency planning, and the county sent out some information about an organisation called Somerset Prepared, and they're suggesting if there are local groups looking to do that sort of thing, they might want to make contact with them.
Yeah.
So it's through a website called somersetprepared.org.uk, and they should be able to help giving some information. It's basically raising awareness of local risk. They'll give advice and help communities with that, so that might be able to help.
Community energy emergency plan toolkit and an emergency plan. We're already there, we're on our way. Oh, well done, thank you. Brilliant. Thank you.
Another one, just for sort of information, there's also, we've been advised that last year the county were involved with the NHS on doing health checks, and so people can get free health checks if they're over 40 up to every 5 years, apparently last year 7,000 people within Somerset took advantage of that. So again, if anyone's interested in doing that, there's a website which is somersethealthchecks.co.uk, which you can get information, or I can pass it on to anyone if they need it. Again, just a plug for the climate emergency strategy. The Sedgemoor part of Somerset is having their public meeting this coming Saturday. So it kicks off from 10 until 4. So it's a drop-in session, so you don't need to be there for the full time. It basically is giving information for people to go along and have a look at what county and districts have been working on so far, but also an ability for members of the public to make comments themselves as to what they think the council should be doing. It's part of the whole consultation process that's going on at the moment. Last week there was a big conference with about 100 businesses across Somerset to talk about what they can do with their businesses and the community to help with climate change. So it's worth going to if you can. It's at Bridgewater House in the normal room that you go for the training for planning. So that could be an interesting afternoon. And the final thing I was going to mention, grant funding. There's a thing, the Somerset Community Foundation have a thing called the Somerset Fund, which can give grants up to £1,500. It covers it covers a range of issues, but it things like I'll just mention some of them: helping disadvantaged children, combating loneliness and isolation, improving better physical health, supporting people with disabilities. So there's a range of things that you can go for. The deadline for this particular round is the middle of February, so it's very imminent. But the Somerset Community Fund are an ongoing thing anyway, so if you miss one deadline, you generally get in for the next roll. So it's worth having a look at that. And finally, I was just going to mention again, I think I said last time, there's still an ongoing discussion between the districts and county over unitary. There will be further information coming out from both points of view, I think, over the next few weeks and months. But both, I think, have agreed that they need to look at how they work and that delivering local government can be improved. There is just a slight difference in terms of how that would happen, whether it's through a single council or whether it's through the councils continuing to improve their working together in the same way that they do with things like the Building Control Partnership, which works across all the districts, and also the Waste Partnership, which covers all the districts and the county in one partnership, and they manage to make that work very, very well. So that will be continuing over the next few months. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions of Bob? Brian?
Is there any discussion going on about the state of the roads? Because I've had a lot of people say to me, some of the roads around here, Burnham especially, are a dreadful state.
Certainly, I mean, I guess it is an ongoing issue that this time of year tends to be the worst with the damage that's done over the winter. It came up actually as the scrutiny committee was on today, and in actual fact, the roads are in a better condition now than they were a couple of years ago, and apparently are heading in the right direction. There was questioned, I must admit, by a number of councillors as well. However, there is funding that has come, some from the government again, with the pothole fund that they helped. That was worth a couple of £1 million to the county, so they are using that to do more pothole repairs. And the other thing that they have now set a part of that fund towards is a bit like the issue we have down in Ham Road, where the edges are breaking away. It's been a problem that there's been an ongoing issue because, in effect, because the vehicles have got bigger, they push the verges back and they're exposing the edges of the highway.
That's happening on Hill Lane as well, if you go over the top of Hill Lane.
So they're now looking to see, in the past they haven't bothered to do that because technically it's off the edge of the tarmac. They are now looking to see what they can do to try and shore up those banks, because it is becoming more and more in the country areas. Those edges are being pushed aside and causing more damage. So I know they are moving ahead on that this
I was
year.
thinking particularly about Stoddens Road in Burnham and also Barrow Road. They are in this dreadful state with potholes and bad services and so on.
Well, they did, I mean, certainly with Barrow Road, they have done a number of repairs through there. And of course they did a bit of resurfacing through part of it as well, but in effect what they've done is they've used they've got a vehicle which basically drives around surveying under the road as to what the state is, and I don't know, some sort of radar I guess, but anyway.
Ground penetration.
Thank you very much. And that in effect they're drawing up a list of where the worst areas are, and those ones are being fully resurfaced, the others are being patched. But as they're working through it, they can pick back up.
Thank you.
Any other questions of Bob? No? Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. The footpaths. Who's doing the footpaths?
Well, I'm the only one tonight.
All right.
Well, I have walked some footpaths, very muddy. I haven't seen anything which really to report, except somebody did mention to me the other day the footpath which runs across the fields to the railway line. There's one gate there in the middle where it's like this. You have to be really careful.
Yeah,
It wants some.
Yeah, if you recall, when we did the gates that cross the railway,
Yeah,
Sally Wingate said, please, would we throw down
yeah,
a lot of stuff? And David said, I'll do it.
yeah.
But since that time, the fields have just been too
I
wet.
know, yes,
So
yes.
we
It's
need
just
to ask
something that
David.
can come up,
Yeah,
you know,
it
for
is bad.
later,
Yeah.
not now,
Yeah,
because I mean it's a mess, but it's
It is, it's awful.
quite, yeah, it does want
Yeah.
something put in it.
no, I
When they do
totally
it.
agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I have been, yes, I have been around the reservoir. I mean that's fairly okay.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything that's broken or.
no.
There was actually, did I mention last time? There was some like a branch that had fallen out across that path that goes round by the reservoir. Maybe it's fallen out.
It's still there.
Is it still there? Yes.
The gale blew it down.
Yes.
It was my diamond.
I don't think he does that really,
Mm.
because no, I asked him about something like that. He said, "Oh no, it's not mine. It might be his. I don't know."
Just
Might
needs
be
a
the field that
chainsaw.
side. Yeah. But no, I can't say that there's anything untoward.
Yeah.
Really.
Just as of interest, I had cause to walk Crooked Lane down through to Burnham,
Yeah.
and the ground has really settled down firmly. It's really good. The job that we did, I was delighted when you look at the way it was. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I can tell you it's excellent for carriage driving.
Oh, is it? Well, there you are then. Yeah.
I did notice that in Crooked Lane they have filled potholes in. You know, there are a lot near around where the stables were.
Yes. Yeah, there are.
But there's much better there.
Yeah.
Because if you cycle along there, it's a bit
Mm.
dangerous.
We can ask for a contact point from the footpath team at County, and I wasn't quite sure, because Peter used to take on that role, didn't he? of
He
course?
did. Well, he had a lot of
I'm not sure
experience.
whether any part of the footpath team want to become the contact point for. They've came back to us recently. I think I sent them a note out asking that question.
What kind of contact?
Well, I think it's just that they've got a contact point, so that they can if they're doing if there's any work being done, or if there's any issues that need raising, there is somebody there as a point of contact in each parish.
Right.
It used to be called a footpath officer at one time. I don't know what it still is.
Yes. So really, it's
Do it
just
soon.
yes, I'll do it.
Clear point of contact. Yeah, you can always pass it on.
Yes,
can't
oh
you?
yes, I can. Yes,
Yeah.
I will. If it's, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, obviously it'll be information you'll need
Yeah,
to know.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, sir. That's
okay.
brilliant. Thank you. While we're on footpaths, can you ask Mr. Mills Roberts what's happening about his gates? Because I can't do the posts down the end until he comes to do the gates, because he didn't want to come for two separate jobs.
Okay, I'll ask.
Could you,
I'll send him.
please?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bob,
Sorry, Bob.
That's right. It was just one of the people who came this afternoon for the surgery. Pete basically asked that there was an issue on path 8-4, which is the one that comes up from Burton Road and then links up to 8-1. Apparently at the junction, I think it's of 8-4 and 8-1, there's a problem with the stile, which we need to have a look at. And we might need to, I think it's on the edge of the steers.
Oh, there.
Yeah,
Yes.
so he said we needed to have a look at that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So 84 and 81, so it's coming up from Burton Road.
I'm with
About
that.
there.
Yeah. Okay.
I think he said it meant normally you've got to climb through a hole in the hedge to get through rather than over
Oh,
the
is that
start.
where the
because it's-
horse was
Yes, there's quite a lot.
being rather friendly?
Well, also I think he was saying that the people's field, they've put up a number of horse jumps which are quite
Oh,
close to where the
yes.
footpath comes over
Yes,
through
yes.
that hole.
Yeah.
And he said the danger is if someone's actually doing the jumps
Oh, crikey.
and someone comes on the footpath, they could meet each other very rapidly
Oh,
before they
yeah.
realise each other are there. So
Should we ask Chris East to come and have a look at it?
I think
I
it's
don't
probably
know where
more
it
just
is.
having a word with.
Picture
Well,
where
they
it's
need to
landowners.
move they
So-
need to
So the
move
stairs,
the,
basically.
I
need
think
to
it's-
move
I
the
think
jumps
I think
a little bit
Six
further away.
And then
All right.
if it's not conclusive after that, we can
Okay,
take it
all
further.
right, okay.
Did anything happen about the footpath which we discussed that went across out of the Sheila field? You know, it's very narrow. The people haven't got the horses. Because last time we discussed it, because it was in a mess. The one which are bounded
Oh, the
by
narrow.
fences. Yeah, I don't know whether you've done anything about that. It has dried up a bit, but it's. Yeah, we did talked about it last time. Somebody brought it up.
Yes.
Somebody brought it up.
Was I going to?
Yeah.
Was I?
Yeah. You
Oh.
said you sometimes saw the people when they were down at this because we didn't know how to
Right.
contact them. They happened to
No,
be
I
at the
don't want the
stables.
dog, I don't see him, but,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, it
Yes.
just depends if
Will
you
you
want to do
remind me?
anything or not.
Will you remind me, please? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I forgot that one. Beg your pardon, sorry. Okay, is that footpaths done? Okay, highways. Malcolm.
I've not had any reports of anything to me from anyone in the village, but I would like it noted that I saw a tipper truck turning right into Brent Street from the Fox and Goose side. Presumably, I'm just saying presumably, from the building site. It turned right across
Across the central
the central
reservation.
reservation. Ooh.
Well,
Well, perhaps we should have a note to the
Developers.
developer. Yeah, yeah. Thanks.
I'll contact the developer on that.
yeah.
Have we had anything about, while we were talking about the building site, about the baffles?
No, we're probably due another update actually, in terms of the current position and current progress. So when I'm asking about this, I also ask about that. If you like, I'd like to, Roger, he's got somebody else working for him now, I think, isn't he? That's an update report.
Bob?
One more on highways. A few months ago, Viv Hares came and asked us about the signs that were in Mark, the kill your speed signs, and how we could maybe get some for Burton Row and Brent Street. And I was asked to go off and try and find out which. When I spoke to highways, they basically said it was the police who'd done it, and when I spoke to the police, they said they thought it was highways who'd done it. So it turns out, eventually, it was the parish council who did it. So they did get highways permission, but so I got the details of what they did. So if I can pass them on to Owen,
Yeah.
basically it was there's a contact of a company in Willenhall. Whatever that is.
Willenhorst, Brummie. It's Midlands.
Brummie,
Yeah.
yeah.
Willenhall. Yeah.
Basically, they bought them in June of 2018. At that stage, the cost was £18.90 for each of the signs, and they say you also need the clips, and there was a carriage charge of £14. But Richard Young, clerk at Mark, has got the details, and if I can just pass that
That's up
on.
to me.
So
Okay.
it might be something that might feed into this bid that you're making
Yeah.
for the
Mm.
Speed Watch group as well, because it's the same sort of thing.
Okay.
So do you want me to actually do anything about this at the moment, or just hold this on file at the moment? I mean, are you asking me to actually place an order for these things?
No, because I think all I was going to say was if we're talking about putting together a bid for this grant,
Yeah.
which might be doing the
The latest.
Speed Watch 30,
Yeah.
the Kill Speed 30,
Yeah.
by having them mixed up and having
Okay.
different things, it
Yeah.
draws people's attention more than just having all the same.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially if we have some down in Brent Street as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Anything else on highways? No? Well done. Cynthia?
Yeah. Oh yes. Yes, I have done it. Well, I ain't really from here. I can tell you what I did. I'll start with the green. On the left-hand side, as you go into the green, there is a branch down and various rubbish. So it needs, moving away, taking, cutting up. And all around the perimeter, I walk right round, and at the top, on the right-hand side, left-hand side, there's a little bench. It's very scruffy there. I know it's leaves and stuff, but it is a mess. And then just following that round to where the trim trail is, there's a whole load of wood there that's come down. It's just untidy.
Yeah, I highlighted that on
Yes.
my report because the bench needs refurbishing as
Yes,
well.
it does.
So,
It
of course,
does. They all need sorting out. But the green, I looked at. I didn't find any problems with the equipment. I had a look at them all. It seemed to be okay. But the coming round, further round, the tree, the hedge right next to the gate. We talked about that before. That wants trimming back a bit on the right-hand side. What else did I find? It was tidy. I was just one little bit of litter. Everything else, looked okay. The grass obviously is long, but now it is drying out. So I expect Jason will come and just take the top off soon. And the gate coming and the fence coming into the green does need painting. It's very shabby.
Not so long ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, it's shabby. It's shabby. It doesn't look very nice.
Andy Selway did that.
Not sorting out.
Andy Selway did that 2 years ago, 2018.
Anyway, and the loos, yes, the ladies' toilets were fine, everything was okay in there. In the men's toilet, there was no hand soap, and it was slightly smelly. It was clean, but it had this sort of odour about it. Yes, I didn't test the lights though. Apparently the lights were working.
Double and I looked in the back room this afternoon actually, and it's definitely not working.
No, well, I didn't.
For whatever reason.
Went on.
So we're going to I would suggest that we ask Buncombe to come out and have a look at it, make sure it's all functioning correctly, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, so that's it.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Yes.
The only other thing to mention in terms of the Buncombe's, the other thing we noticed when we were in there was, there's that little heater bar that is supposed to stop
Yes.
the toilets freezing. That
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be heating. So again, if Buncombe's can have a look at that.
Did we check the fuse board at all? Did we look at it?
We had a quick look. All the switches were in the right place,
Yeah.
but whether
It's
there's a
not
few
an MCB buttons.
No, I don't think that's the case.
You've been there, Warwick, haven't you?
Yeah, but is it an RCPO?
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
I don't know. You get a bit technical now, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's a switch, but
Yeah.
No, it's a circuit breaker.
Yeah.
We're only simple people.
Yeah, we don't understand.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have a-
Well, is it just a tuber heater, is it?
Yes.
it's
Is
just
there
to
a
stop the freezing.
thermostat or a frost stand anywhere?
It used to be, but where it is now, I
think
don't
so.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. Well,
Maybe visit
get
the
somebody in
toilet.
next
Toilet, toilet
I
monitor.
think, yeah. What are you doing tomorrow morning? Or what are you doing
That
after
sounds
the
a bit
meeting?
dodgy, doesn't it?
There's a word for that.
Yeah. Okay, shall we move on? GB Sports monthly report.
I circulated a report round. I didn't have a glance over it. I couldn't see any differences between that report and any previous one. Yeah. I mean, you almost get the impression they all send the same report out every month. Actually. But I suppose nothing really changes fundamentally on play equipment, not over a month.
Did we ever get a quote from for the...
Well,
Who said what Brian was for?
Brian's spoken to me with Colin Lewis. haven't you?
Yeah,
You've got-
this was last summer, we did this. Colin Lewis came along and made all these suggestions. I think I gave you a list for the last time. I saw him again in December concerning our operators are also on provision for the under fives, and made a list of the sort of things we might like to have, if we could afford it, for him. And he was going to give me a price list, and he gave me the catalogue. I've written 2 emails to him already requesting this price list, and it still hasn't come, but I believe you've got the price list.
He covers a heck of an area. I mean, he goes around the country.
Sutcliffe's, yeah.
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 So that's all I can say about that.
Because we're also going to get a quote from him for doing the remedial work.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's because when we met up in August, that was the thing. He identified a whole load of things, didn't he?
I think the one thing that they did do was the fireman's
Fireman's
pole,
pole, that's right,
but
yeah.
everything else,
Nothing's been done.
There's a whole
nothing's
list,
been done.
whole
Yeah.
list of things to...
Which
So
included the replacement of the picnic tables.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that one, David?
Replacement of the picnic tables.
Well, we're applying for a grant at the moment, so I'll replace them if and when we get the grant.
Sure, I'll try and get hold of Colin again, Brian, see if I can get hold, see if there's any enthusiasm there.
Because certainly you want to try and get it done before the spring's
Yeah,
here and the kids
yeah.
start to use it again.
Okay, I'll try and I know he's down about quite a lot, but I have got his mobile number, so I'll try and get hold of him.
Can we get Andy, what's his name?
Selway.
Selway to look
Yeah.
at that bench over the back and look at the picnic benches. I think they might be okay just with the stain to see us through it.
I mean, if you remember, that there was rot in the legs, and it's been made worse by Jason Strimmer.
Oh, okay.
So
Then we
they
get
really
rid
do
of,
genuinely
if we get our new
replace it.
bench, then we could get rid of that one then.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
And there was some suggestion that if you put a metal coating around the lead
The new one, yeah.
base, then
Yeah,
that helps damage
Protect
from the
it.
strimmer.
yeah, true.
But, you know,
Won't be sort of shutting the door after the horse has bolted
yeah,
with the existing ones.
Good thinking.
Well, you know,
Very good.
don't come up with very good many ideas, but we'll do
That was pretty
That was
good.
up there.
That was right. Yeah.
And if we replace them, can we go for the new composite ones,
Yes.
if not wood,
Yeah, they are.
so they won't rot?
That we've
Don't
only
rot
applied for
anything.
one because they're quite expensive. But yeah, I thought if we get one this year, we'll try and get one this year. Yeah, it is. It's from Glasden or somewhere. Composite stuff. Yeah. Surgery.
Well, we had a couple of visitors today. We had one concerning the dog mess issue in the village, and that's on the agenda later on for discussion about sightings of bins, etc. We had Viv came in to do with the flag. I mentioned to John earlier. Apparently she came in a couple of months ago. I can't really remember, I have to say, and asked whether we could replace the village flag.
I'll get a quote.
Whether we get a quote for that. And also, you saw a letter on there, obviously under correspondence from Mr. Butt in the Willows regarding the fencing on the right-hand side of the green. We know about, of course. He's replying, it's over there on the correspondence. He's replying to the letter that I sent, telling him what we were proposing to do. He simply replied to it. And just, thanking us for the support and so forth. Okay. That was, I think, it was Peter came in and we mentioned that for the footpath issue. So that was it. Yeah. On that.
Emergency planning group. Well, I've been doing some background research on it, and I've got a draft of a plan. Councillor Gilling has very kindly brought some stuff in for me as well, and Bob has given me some stuff. So I will follow that up, and then I'll probably liaise with David and see whether we can get some form of subgroup up together to start the process. But it's quite a big job, by all accounts. But
Possibly to make it a bit easier, there is on the internet there's a certain format. There's an emergency planning parish council template of about 13 pages. So
Right.
you've seen that.
yeah, I think
Have you got that?
we've got a template here, which
Yeah.
I've now got 2 templates, so
Oh, okay.
yeah, we've got loads of templates, but we've got no information to go in there. No action. So yeah, it will evolve rather than.
May, Mr. Chairman, the contact at Sedgemoor, if you're interested in, unless you've been there already, is a lady called Sarah Dowden.
Thank you.
And I believe there's an officer at County Hall as well, Nicola somebody, and I'm not sure of her surname, but she's certainly part of it.
I know that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Just let me do these 2 and then I'll sure bring on. G, police crime speed watch, SID issues.
Well, the SID issue is the main one here actually, and that, of course, is a whole saga which you would need to kept fully informed of, of course. And this is a strange situation because I sent out the note obviously asking people's views about whether we should hold on to this SID or whether we should send it back. And having taken advice from both the legal department of Sedgemoor and also SALC, the advice was very strongly that we should keep it and test it, because if we don't do that, we'd have very little recourse to get a refund. If we haven't tested what we've asked them to do, in other words, we'd send it back, we'd ask them to recalibrate and get it corrected. If we then send it back without testing it, the company will simply say, we didn't test it.
Yes.
So we have to now rely on Richard to be able to get the thing in situ, test it, see whether the calibration has been corrected. If it works, fine. If it doesn't work, then straight away, boom, it goes back and we demand a refund because they haven't done what we asked them to do. So although on the face of it, it appeared as though we'd gone effectively against what the majority was on the council, in the end, I felt we had to take advice because I wasn't sure what the right thing to do. And when they explained it, particularly Justin himself, when he explained it to me, it seemed logical to at least let them have a chance to see whether it's
I think
function.
On second thought, I think that's the best.
Yeah, there are a couple of things because Richard is getting frustrated. Is the word, I think, insofar that we're not taking any decision on this. It's sitting in his house, if you like, still on the pallet. He hasn't touched it because we can't make a decision. And I don't want to upset Richard because he does such a great job. If he didn't do it, someone from here would have the responsibility, and I'm not sure that it's quite a job he does for us. I think that the point that Owen's made is dead right. One, we've got an extended warranty for 2 years on it anyway, from the moment it's come back, I understand. So we've still got 2 years. Secondly, if you send something back literally not unpacked and examined or tested, they're going to say, I've recalibrated it. Why? You haven't tested it. I've no need to give you your money back, even though you've sent it back. So I think we need to, well, what we should have done probably is sent it back right at the start. This is rubbish, we don't accept it because of their poor service. But we missed that trick, with all good intentions as well, probably. But I think we've learned the lesson. We'll try it now, ask Richard to get it up and running and see where we go. Is everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Yes. That's it, thank you.
That's fine.
Thanks very much.
I informed Richard that we wanted to go ahead and do that, actually. I think the other thing Richard did mention some time ago, and I think it's worth mentioning again, is that whether we can get a couple of other people maybe in the village to assist Richard, moving this thing around, and because at the end of the day, if Richard, falls over somewhere and he can't do the job, we've got nobody else at the moment that we can fall back on. So it almost needs another person or persons who can actually perhaps support Richard.
Malcolm?
It might be worth contacting the Speed Watch on Burton Road, as they have a vested interest.
Yes, no, that is a good point. Yeah, thank you, Malcolm. Yeah.
They need Chapter 8 training, of course. That's the other point. You can't just go ahead and do it.
Well, haven't they got that standing out in the road with a speaker?
They may have. And if they have, that's fine.
But can they put signs out properly?
That's right, yeah.
That's
We- we
the
all-
training, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
We all do the training, Warwick, we've all got
Thank you.
cards.
Got cards, yes.
Never use, yeah.
It's on my CV.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, no, that's a good point, Malcolm, thank you. Clerk's matters.
There's a couple of things. We're at a clerks meeting, a bi-monthly clerks meeting this afternoon. A number of clerks in the area, including East Brent, Lymsham, Puriton and Burnham Without. And we discussed a few issues, one of which was the SID actually. And in fact it was Jim at East Brent that provided a very nice publication on their machine, which is a Radar Lux one, which seems to provide good data. It seems to work extremely well, and is one that we can fall back on should our current one fall flat. So I did ask for Jim if he could just send me details of that, which he's agreed to do. Something else that cropped up, which is perhaps, and I don't mean it to be controversial, but it's something I feel I need to raise. I had a discussion the other day with NALC, the National Association of Local Councils, regarding church grants, or grants to churches, for maintenance of churches. And I was told in very much no uncertain terms that it is not within the power of the parish council to make grants to the local church for church maintenance. However, 75% of all parish councils do it in some form or another. Now, the reason why I'm raising it is because obviously we make a substantial grant to the church for maintaining their grounds. And it came up again at our clerks meeting today when certainly Lymsham, the clerk at Lymsham raised the matter. And I'm only raising it now because as clerk it is upon me to actually say to you that it is not technically, and I say technically, legal for us to provide the parish church with maintenance of their grounds. However, one important thing is that if the church were unable to afford to do it themselves, we would effectively have to take control of the churchyard anyway. So if the churchyard was unable to, because of finance, and I'm sure that is the case, knowing the state of the church finances, I think it's very unlikely they would be able to afford £3,500 a year to support the churchyard. So if they were unable to do so, we would have to take it on ourselves in any event. The only reason why I mention this is because if there were to be a case study or a case brought before the courts, of course, then the whole matter would come up for discussion. And I have to be very certain in my mind that I've actually at least minuted with you, that I've explained to you that technically, and it is only technically, we shouldn't be supporting them any more than we should be supporting school finance, or any form of county school finance. So I'm only raising it now that I would just like it minuted that I have raised the issue with you. But it doesn't change anything. I'm sure it doesn't make any difference to what we are intending to do. But at least we are forewarned that it is technically not within our powers to do so. Are you happy with that?
Yeah.
So again, we all learn something, and none of us, in this afternoon, none of the clerks were aware of this, apart from Lymsham. That was the only clerk that actually knew about this particular. In spite of some of us being around for a long, long time. Richard Young's been around since '87, and he wasn't aware of it either. So, it's not something that just suddenly reared its head. So if I just minute that.
Thank you.
Is that it?
That's it, yeah.
While we're on reports, can we welcome Councillor Gilling from East Brent? Do you want to add anything or provide any
Nothing
information?
specific beyond the fact that, just to report that both Bob and I were honoured to go to the opening of the Highbridge Hotel, which is now a YMCA unit, which is
Brilliant. Brilliant.
and is being used as we speak.
there are all sorts of sports facilities there. The sports hall itself is unbelievably large.
Yeah, oh, that's
How
good.
many accommodation, how much
There's
accommodation?
24 units of accommodation
That's
for
really good,
single people, obviously,
yes.
but it's there as under the YMCA's banner, YMCA Dulverton that is,
Yes.
which is run out of Bridgewater, but nevertheless it's part of this national network.
Oh, that's very good.
And it's a stunning, I'm sure you've all driven into Highbridge from the West Huntsville end. The gateway to the town there was, I think, will create a wonderful atmosphere within the town.
Oh, that's good. That's good news.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
Nice to see you. Thanks.
Sarah Dowden, as I said, is
Yes.
the contact at Sedgwell,
Yes,
and or Adrian Gardner.
Adrian Garden. Okay, thank you. Okay, correspondence received, Owen?
Just a couple of matters, some of which are already up for discussion anyway. We had an email from a resident about the use of pesticides within our parish council, and that is a matter that will come up later under the when we discuss health and safety. So it is very much part of health and safety, it's part and parcel of it. So if I can leave that there for that for the moment. We had this other issue here, which was in fact to do with the same subject as the lady who came to the surgery, which is to do with dog mess and so forth, and that's again on the agenda later on. And then we also had a letter from Mr. Butt, Mrs. Butt, just acknowledging our letter about the Reen fencing, or the fencing into the Reen, and there may be something to say on that later on. So they're all items that we have on the agenda anyway for discussion.
Thank you.
And correspondence.
Finance?
On finance, unusually for finance is the only time I can ever remember not having any variable payments actually. We've got statutory payments, our usual statutory payments, of which we only have the clerks and the NI contributions this month with GB Sports, because we don't pay Jason Mayer in February and March. So it's a very low payment this month. And no variable payments, I just need your approval for the statutory payment.
Can someone, Bob, supports the statutory payment? Warwick second. All those in favour? That's great, lovely. Thank you.
Now the next item is a couple of things here. The section 137 grants that we make to local groups. You may remember we put a note in the BKN, I think it was in December. However, we actually have 3 applications. One is from CAB, which we've had previously, one from Mendip Community Transport, and one for a local organisation called Re-Engage, who are a local group, supporting, I suspect, isolated people and people who are lonely.
Can I declare an interest, personal interest, on the basis I'm one of their volunteers?
Okay.
And it's actually a national charity, but this is the local branch.
Branch of it. Yeah. So we have effectively 3 grants to consider on that. And it's a question of how much you feel you want. If you want to make a grant to any of these organisations, and if so, how much you wish to grant them.
How much have we got in the pot?
Yes,
Yeah.
what
Yeah, there's I think there's £500 actually.
There's 450 in section 37 and 500 in the other grants.
Yeah, I mean section 37 is very specific. In fact, section 37 is a grant you have to provide to somebody providing a community service. So, we used to, of course, at one time they used to give the school grants, which we can no longer. But that's what section 137 is. The other grants are other grants that we wish to make for any other purpose.
So,
Can you remind us what Mendip Community Transport does for this village?
Well, they say that they do actively operate a service in the village. They can never be that specific, but they do.
It does come
Slinky's
through.
probably Slinky's.
It does come
The obvious
through.
one.
Yeah.
Is that the Slinky?
So in essence, have we got £917 here?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you felt.
So,
you wanted
well, if we looked at re-engage, which we do know is a community project because you said that you're a volunteer and it brings people into this village and there's hosts, isn't there? And they put
They put on afternoon tea
teas and
for people
things.
who otherwise don't meet anybody.
Right, so would that